And we are back. Welcome to the second night of Champions League action after a night which probably wasn't the most entertaining. 2 1-0 games. I expect a little bit more from the Bayern PSG game. That's the game that I watched the majority of. As for the AC Milan Tottenham game, obviously I did my predictions before I went away. I am now back and live this morning. I obviously didn't know that Leicester were going to beat Tottenham 4-1. That would have, of course, changed my prediction going into that game if I'd have known that. But it is what it is, both games finishing 1-0. As for tonight, it is a massive night of action. Not only do we have 2 more games in the Champions League, but we have arguably the biggest game in the Premier League so far this season. So if you're here for my Champions League predictions, feel free to skip ahead. I'll put in the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chapters allowing you to skip ahead to Champions League. But before we get into tonight's Champions League action, we are going to talk about the massive game in the Premier League tonight, which is, of course, Arsenal against Manchester City. Now, it has been a highly controversial weekend of Premier League action. I was able to see as much as I possibly could over the weekend while I was away, but I was able to see all the major incidents that happened. Of course, starting with those massive offside decisions that were incorrectly called, and one of them, of course, having implications towards this match. Now, rightfully, Mikel Arteta is fuming about what has happened. Lee Mason and the other fourth official from the Brighton game have both been suspended. I believe the one that was in charge of the Brighton game was going to have some part to play in this match tonight, and he has subsequently been taken out of it, which is the right decision. It's just baffling that we're at this stage of the season, we're this many years into VAR, and we're still getting actual human errors that are having significant effect, especially when it comes to things like offside. And hopefully we get the technology in that we saw last night in the Champions League, because Mbappe's goal was ruled out incredibly quickly after Nuno Mendes was caught offside. And obviously that was a really tight one to call, but the technology got it right immediately. So hopefully that is something we'll see coming forward in the Premier League. There have been calls for VAR to be scrapped in the Premier League after all the incidents this weekend. I hope that does not happen. But, of course, we do now have the game this evening. And based off of what I've seen over the last couple of weeks, and a slight bit of optimism, because I still want to believe that my club, Manchester United, are still in the title race, I think Arsenal are really, really on the verge of potential collapse here. And I think this is the worst possible time for them to be playing Manchester City. I saw the other day, or literally yesterday, I think it was, that Manchester City have won this fixture the last 10 times in the Premier League. That is both home and away. They've not won the last 10 at the Emirates. They have won their last 10 Premier League games against Arsenal. And they have won 12 of their last 13 games against Arsenal in all competitions, with the exception of one FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. So it's a really, really tough game for Arsenal. It's a proper test of their mettle. They obviously lost to Manchester City in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. They did play a second-string team for that one. But since then, I think Arsenal have got worse and City have got better. So I'm going to have to go for a Manchester City win tonight. Obviously, Haaland's going to be injured as well. I'm going to go for 3-1. I personally think Manchester City play better with Alvarez up front anyway. I think he's more their sort of style of the likes of Gabriel Jesus, Phil Foden when he used to go in there, Aguero. He's much better, much more adept at the quick, nimble turns and the interplay. Not that I'm saying Haaland's bad at it. I just think they don't use Haaland properly at Manchester City, whereas Alvarez suits their style a lot better. So I think they're even more likely to do damage with Alvarez in the team instead of Haaland. So I'm going to go for 3-1. I can obviously see Arsenal getting a result here the way they have played so far this season, but off the back of their defeat away, their draw at home, and Manchester City's good performances the last couple of times out, I just think this is Manchester City's night, which would see Manchester City top the Premier League if it goes that way this evening. Anyway, that is the Premier League. We are, of course, here doing a Champions League video, so let's look ahead to tonight's Champions League fixtures. And we'll start with the English club, which is Chelsea taking on Borussia Dortmund. Now, Chelsea obviously are not playing to their absolute potential so far. They've made a lot of new signings. To be honest, this is a night where Benfica is the major talking point. We've got Benfica in the second fixture, but you've got the £200 million men from Benfica both playing for Chelsea tonight in João Felix and Enzo Fernandez. Do I think it's going to be enough to beat Borussia Dortmund? No, I don't. I think Dortmund are starting to play some really good football again. They've started climbing their way back up the Bundesliga table. I believe right now they sit third whereas a couple of weeks ago they were down in somewhere like 7th. They're starting to get a little mini resurgence going. Sebastian Haller's back in the side. He started playing really well, and obviously Jude Bellingham is on fire and will be looking to draw the attention of all the English clubs once again tonight. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Borussia Dortmund. I think that is the fair reflection of current form right now. I think Chelsea have a team in there. It's just how long Graham Potter is going to take to get it going and how long Chelsea are going to back Graham Potter to get that team going. I just think right now this game is a little bit too soon for them, but we shall see. The other game tonight is finally Club Brugge up against Benfica. And look, I've disrespected Bruges the entire tournament, and we know this. If you've watched any of the previous episodes throughout this series, link to the series will be in the description and at the end of the video if you've missed any of the series so far. I've massively disrespected Bruges so far this season, but I've also massively praised Benfica for the achievements that they've been having so far this season, and that is going to continue tonight. I'm going to go for 3-0 to Benfica. That might sound incredibly harsh, but I just look at the way the teams have been playing. Benfica are playing so well. They're top of the Liga NOS or the Liga Portugal, whatever it's called now. They're playing some fantastic football. They've lost Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea, but their style of play and the results haven't really been dented in the slightest. Ramos is playing really well. João Mario in midfield has been exceptional. Defensively, they've been solid. Bruges have an okay team. I just don't think it's at the level of quality that Benfica has right now, and I just expect Benfica to take this tie very comfortably, and I can see them doing so by getting a nice win tonight and then cruising it in the second leg in 2 or 3 weeks' time, whenever those games are played. And that is going to be it for today's video. As always, drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new around here. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts about pretty much everything. All the Premier League stuff, all the controversy over the weekend. Do you agree with my Arsenal-Man City prediction? Do you agree with all of the stuff that I've said about the Champions League games tonight? Were you a little bit disappointed with last night's games as well? I thought it just could have been a little bit higher octane considering it was a Champions League game. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more drama tonight. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I will be back tomorrow where we have to talk about Manchester United and Barcelona. Thank you very much for watching.